What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. With this video, we are jumping into X-Force, issue number 28. If you have not been keeping up with this series, be sure to check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on with our X-Men team. In the last issue, what we saw is one of the Cerebro helmets, it became sentient. Not really sure how it did this feat. Not really understanding what the heck is even going on. What they do know is that there is a sentient machine going around Krakoa, and it is taking people's minds. It is gathering information and it is growing. That is where X-Force comes into play. Now be sure to buy the comic, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 28, we are picking up with our sentient Cerebro. This helmet has come to life and it has taken the head of Forge. In doing this, what we see is this Cerebro recreates Forge, building a hologram directly in front of it. They seem to be almost primitive, having very basic objectives. When it comes to our sentient Cerebro, it is its job to store information, and right now, this thing is hungry. But what this Forge hologram is really letting it know is that once you consume enough, you yourself will become a mutant. This island being one giant buffet. It is going to be a feeding frenzy. That's what takes us over to the healing gardens. Sage, Beast, and the Good Doctor are currently examining Forge's body, trying to figure out what the purpose of all of this was. While they are examining this, really trying to figure out what their next course of action is. Around the island, one by one, people are being grabbed. They do theorize that this was probably happening because of the 10 lives and deaths of Wolverine, when Jean and Professor X were connected to it for such a long time, going throughout all of time. It could have created a kind of nexus point inside this Cerebro helmet. What they do know is that they need to stop it before it consumes too much power. That's what takes us to the Crucible, and we have Omeganaut versus the Silver Samurai. Kid Omega is currently operating what he calls a husk. These are more or less shells of individuals without any consciousness. Because of this, Kid Omega is able to hop into these bodies and use them at his own will. He has been testing a wide variety of individuals. This one obviously comes from Juggernaut. Now this isn't Juggernaut himself. This is Quentin's own DNA, it's just been manipulated. They have made him bigger, stronger, but not nearly as faster. He is trying to figure out what the best course of action is when it comes to using a husk. What would be the best weapon to have in his arsenal? Taking us to Kid Omega's bedroom. This is where he is sitting meditating because right now he is transferring his consciousness over to the Omeganaut. Wolverine waking him up and looking in the other room, what we find is a whole slew of other husks. From Emma Frost to Domino, he's been trying to figure out what he likes best. But right now, they don't have time to worry about any of this because there is a sentient murderer on the island. That's what picks us up with Sage and Omega Red. Omega Red more or less being forgiven, allowed to live on Krakoa, but he keeps his distance from society. And even though he no longer has the hunger, he still finds himself out here hunting beasts on the daily. And Sage has really come out here to let him know that he needs to stop pouting. At the end of the day, she fully understands what was done to him. And at first it comes off very much harsh, but she lets it be known that she has done horrible things. But she does vow every morning to do better. Most mornings she's not able to live up to this vow, but she is asking Omega Red, can you be better than me? Can you get past all of this destructive personality? Can you be someone worth depending on? Because right now, more than ever, we could be using your help. Taking us to Kid Omega and our sisters. He has come here to let them know that there is a murderer on the loose, one devouring powers. If her powers were to get grabbed by anybody, it could be catastrophic for the whole island. He came here to give her a warning, but the truth is, she sees it more as stalkerish. Being the ex-boyfriend, they're broken up. They no longer should be seeing each other, or at least that's how Phoebe sees it. Because the truth is, they don't need his protection. I do feel like they are going to be eating those words in the near future. Kid Omega coming with the best of intentions, they blow him off like he is some kind of stalker freak. Meanwhile, we have Wolverine and Domino who have already caught up to our sentient Cerebro, as it has been devouring person after person. The two of them do their best to try and take this monster on. And while Wolverine is very formidable, this thing has already taken enough powers, and we see him put onto the roof, controlling the adamantium inside of his body, bending his claws in as they breach his skin, screaming in agonizing pain. This is where Domino comes in. Jumping at the Cerebro, we see a giant explosion, both of them being shot back. The Cerebro has fallen down to the ground, and I also will note up to this point it is referring to itself as CEREBRAX. With it being severely damaged, it makes a run for it, hauling butt across Krakoa. Domino and Wolverine need to catch up to it before it runs into the wrong mutant. A mutant that it could take its powers and become one of the most powerful things on this island. Sitting out in the woods, that is where we have Black Tom. And that will be the end of this issue. Now, this one was a relatively short story, which was a bit of a disappointment. You know, we've waited all this time to see what is going on with this sentient Cerebro, only for it to be cut so very short on us. And it also doesn't seem like it is going to be something that's formidable on this island, because while it was able to take on both Wolverine and Domino, at the end of the day, the Cerebro lost this battle. It has done good up to this point, catching people by surprise and eating their heads. But this luck is only going to get it so far, and they are definitely foreshadowing it taking off Black Tom's head, but I think they're going to go in the opposite direction. I think Black Tom is going to recognize exactly where it is, because he seems to have been tracking in some kind of capacity. So we can see Black Tom versus this CEREBRAX. Probably the biggest and best takeaway from this issue is that Kid Omega has been asking for husks. But these individuals, they are remanifested or reconstructed with the powers of the individuals they kind of look like. This is really so Kid Omega can be any person that he wants. He would be lacking all of the mutant abilities of the person he is portraying himself to be. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have his own powers and abilities. So depending on the person he is, he might be able to fake it and pretend like he has those abilities. Of course, to the extent that his abilities can be used in that manner. This opens up the door for so much more when it comes to Kid Omega. And I am very excited to see how they're gonna use this in the future. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by hitting the Super Thanks button. This button will let you donate directly to the channel, and every little bit helps us out. Now, if you can't do that, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.